What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Joseph, and welcome to Fiction Ink Flow. Today, I have another special treat for you. I am back with my road dog, Zach, and we are going to talk about AAPI month. We are talking about all graphic novels with Asian or Indian Pacific Island influence. All right, and here is my boy, Zach.
What's up, man? Don't forget to hit that like button. Smash that like and hit that subscribe button, man.
Definitely make sure you hit that like button and smash it all the way through. All right. So I just want to kick it off right away. I know this month is really practically just about over. And I know, like looking at, we did the one with Black History, and we looked at other characters. I'm like, there aren't that many Asian or Indian characters in the comic universe. And that kind of always shocked me. So I'm like, well, which characters are around that we could kind of focus on and talk about? So I'm going to jump right in with a character that you may think was not Asian, but there's a new version that is. So this is Iron Fist. All right. So right here, this is the new Iron Fist. Oh, let me get it right there. The new Iron Fist. So he actually is Asian. So I love this story about this guy. So it's written by a young lady named Alyssa Wong. And this new character's name is Lin Lai. So I want to give you a real quick synopsis of his backstory. So Lin Lai was living in Kung Lao, right where like the mystical dragon is. He's one of the monks, and his family has been studying for years. And what happens? They were guarding this egg, and I like the premise because it brings in the Strange. If you see in the background, Doctor Strange died in the Marvel Universe recently. And his wife, Clea, if you saw, spoiler warning, Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, she has a cameo in the movie. And so she's taken over. But when he died, magic all over the world disappeared. There was no protector, no Sorcerer Supreme. And in that time, this demon, this god of war in Kung Lao, was kind of coming back. And so Ling had to get with his family, who are like barriers of this ancient weapon, to stop the demon. Right, there's 3 ancient weapons, and his family were guarding one. It was his sword, and so he was blocking it, and the essence was coming out and inhabiting the people and taking them over. And Ling grabbed the sword, and he tried to smash it over one of the people. And when he did, the sword burst and broke into different shards. And he fell into a big lake in Kung Lao where the dragon lives. And so the dragon saved him. The fire came around. Wait a minute. Danny Rad, which is the Iron Fist we all know, was already there. He was wait a minute. I need you to help protect me because I need new warriors to stop this new demon. And so when he woke up, shards of the sword are embedded in his skin. So Shao Lo gave him the power of the Iron Fist without him having to train or anything. So he can get back the shard pieces to make the sword whole again. So he has the Iron Fist ability, and he has the shards of the sword in his arms. And he talks about he's constantly in pain. But I like this story. It's an underdog story. It's challenging. It's totally different. And he is an Asian character instead of having this Caucasian man be the Iron Fist.
I really like this twist. I think it makes 100% makes sense in my mind. He's in Kung Lao. Okay, he has to be Asian essentially. And to me, the mantle of Iron Fist is similar to Captain America. Anyone could be Captain America. It can be passed down. It could be transferred. Similar to Black Panther, similar to Thor. Okay, it just makes sense. But it's in canon. The Iron Fist is passed down from generation to generation. Wasn't there one where there's different universes? Don't they have a battle? Yeah. So it makes sense. I think it's spot on, and I can't wait to read more of it.
I think they're just doing honor to making it culturally right now. Instead of having this stereotypical guy come in who was not of Asian origin at all, and they kind of auto-corrected that for us and kind of giving it the power which it should have belonged to in person of Asian descent, since they were the ones who protected and studied the whole time. We are the ones who know all this stuff.
Yeah, I agree. And in canon, it's a no-brainer. It's a hit. It's a hit for me.
All right, Zach. So, what's your character that you have in the book?
All right, I got Imaginary Fiends, y'all. Imaginary Fiends. It's only one volume. The author is Tim Seeley, so he's on fire. Okay,
Tim is good. Tim is
good. Now this is also double dipping on AAPI month, and also it's double dipping in mental health month as well.
Yep.
This book follows the main character who is Asian, and you don't know what she has. She's bipolar. She's schizophrenic. I don't want to give too much away, because if I tell you what happens, it'll kind of ruin it. But you don't know what she has. She has something. You don't know if it's all in her mind or it's fictional, fake. You don't know if her parents abandoned her, and that's what caused it. But the premise is that what she believes, these imaginary characters, is kind of also based in. It's actually what happened is true. If you, spoiler alert, with the Slender Man killings that happened, with these two girls and stuff like that. So it's rooted in something that happened in real life, but it's also taking so Tim Seeley kind of took that idea. And she's wondering if these killings are real and based on her imaginary friend. And you have to, as the reader, you kind of have to figure out, is it made up? Is it not made up? And in somewhere in the middle, you kind of find out. It's really, really cool idea as far as based on what you think is real or not.
Okay.
It reminds me sort of Moon Knight a little bit in that sense.
Rocking the Moon Knight shirt, all the way.
There you go.
Nice shirt right there. Some in the suit.
I think this for me is a big hit. If you want something, the characters are crazy because, like I said, it's based off it where this character is schizophrenic or not. So the imaginary beings that are there. I mean, there's giant cat creatures. There's giant spider things. One of the main antagonists, you don't know, is called Polly Peach Pit. So even the names are really, really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really think it's a hit.
So yeah, I really love like stories like this. I love going on a journey with a character where you don't know if you're looking at it from the character's perspective or is it from someone else's perspective, and what's real or what's not. Like you're in the moment with the character. And I like that age of discovery, if you will. So it kind of reminds me, as you were telling me this, there was a movie. It gets mixed reviews. Sometimes people say it's really bad, and sometimes they say it's really good. I happen to enjoy it because I understood the layering. But the movie is Sucker Punch.
Oh,
I know it's one of those movies that everyone loved the action, but a lot of people didn't follow the story. But I did because it was just layered. Like it existed in like 3 different realities, like the real world. What was the main character was imagining, then even a deeper level of imagination, almost like Inception. So I love stuff like that.
Yep. It's kind of like a steampunk, right? We're going to come back to that later. Yep.
Okay. All right. Definitely. My third book I have up is a character you may not know of. It's gaining a little bit of popularity, but it's a character called Silk. So let me give you the book and show her. And I know what you're thinking, like, wait a minute, she has this look like, kind of like a spider person, but it's 100% correct. She has a connection to Spider-Man himself. So Silk, her name is Cindy Moon. She was created a couple of years ago, and what happened was that they did like this backstory. Like, we all know the story of Peter Parker goes to the science convention, gets bit by this radioactive spider. Wakes up later, spider powers, everything, becomes Spider-Man. So initially, when he got big, he kind of like threw it off his hand, and kind of went away. He's like, what was that? And it was itching. Well, Cindy was at that same field trip. And the spider wasn't dead. It bit her as well. And she also gained spider powers. Now, she had something a little bit different. She was able to have like a little pheromone awareness, as well as be able to make her own organic webs. And she was captured, like somebody witnessed a spider biting her. So she was taken away and she was locked away, like, and studied and experimented on and like trained for years and was never allowed outside. And then when the Spider-Verse originally happened, a lot of people know it from the movie, but that existed a little bit before in the comic book. So when the Spider-Verse happened, they needed somebody to like do different things. And Cindy was that character. she came out of the vault. She finally went outside, and Peter was like attracted to her. And I'm not talking about necessarily like a physical attraction. It was this pheromone. He like saw it, like he was like, his senses were going off in a different way. And they met up. And he was like, wow, like, and she kind of told him the backstory. And then they actually started to become physically attracted. And he was like, whoa, wait a minute, what's going on here? But there was an underlying thing with their physical attraction. They were supposed to be together because they're mates, like true spiders. And they were supposed to like develop the ultimate child to have in the spider universe. But they just didn't because of all kind of other comic lingo. But it's a good book. She finally now is on her own, has her own adventures. But if you really want to check out like what happened and know a little bit more about this character, I recommend checking out Silk's book. She is once again a character that's going to get pretty popular in the Marvel Universe now. So go ahead and definitely check that book out.
I 100% agree with you. This was a hit for me. I do think the canon and writing let it drop. I mean, he's always supposed to be with Mary Jane. Black Cat is his side piece or whatever. But like, it made sense. If the spider bit him and bit her, it made sense they should be together. To me, it was a hit, and then Marvel just dropped it. I don't know for what reason. Also, like with the rise of Spider-Gwen, like that being a thing. I'm not saying Spider-Man and Spider-Gwen to be together, but just it was a hit, and then they just missed it. I think it could have been something really, really cool. Maybe an Elseworlds tale. I would actually really, really enjoy that.
I would see like a what if something.
Yeah,
like Go ahead, my fault.
No, go ahead.
And I think that's what happened. Like they were starting to explore more with her, and she's of Asian descent. And then, when they got to more Spider-Verse characters, when the Spider-Gwen popped, it just hit out. And I think it was really the costume, not so much the character, but then they developed that more because everyone like was going crazy over the costume, and then it was Gwen Stacy back, his old love, instead of this new love that could possibly be a potential. So they just ran with it and kind of like Cindy kind of went into the background.
Can I interject? Now that you said it like that, I think they were positioning Silk because I did like the costume. I like the organic webbing. Yeah. But you're right. Once Gwen came, it felt like they might have just like playing the odds. Yep. And then it was Gwen. Gwen popped, and then it just got thrown to the side, man.
Yeah, and I like Gwen, but it's just like let her death mean something. I know it's an alternate version, so he shouldn't even like go back, but they couldn't resist. And I don't fault the writers, I don't fault Marvel, but I just know that's the way they had to play it. Yeah.
I agree with you.
All right, Zach, what's our next one from you that you got featuring?
This one is going back to what you said about steampunk. Okay, I kind of cheated on this one a little bit.
All right.
The author and illustrator are Asian descent. This is monstrous, multiple Eisenhower Award winner. I mean, if you haven't read it, you got it, everyone. Excellent world building. Okay, very, very verbose. It looks, I don't want to cheat a little bit, but it looks like a manga / anime. It's basically about, I don't want to give too much away. It's too hard to explain. You have to read the book, okay? But it's about Makia Half-Wolf and her journey with a monster inside of her that could basically destroy the world. And there's these different races of people on Earth that are trying to there's different factions. There's political things. There's love. There's betrayal. It's just written amazingly. If you want something that is very verbose, tons of world building. By world building, I mean when you turn for example, when you turn the page, there might be a sonnet written in that time of that world, or it might be a map of the whole world with all the different factions, and all the history is told through cats who are the poets of that of that world.
Wow!
Yeah, it's just really, really amazing. You have action, and then the next 2 pages are explaining all the world building.
Okay,
you have to get on this, everybody. If you love, like I said, if you love anime, if you love manga, great. But if you love big, verbose stories with excellent detail and a lot of action, definitely check out Monstrous, man.
Cool. Can I say this? I love making connections. That's my whole thing. So when you explain it to me, because I've never heard of it, and kind of piqued my interest a little bit, I want to check it out. It's reminding me of a show that you and I both watching. Season 3 just dropped of Love, Death, and Robots.
Yes.
And I love there are all these little mini vignettes, but there's one that has been in every season. It's these 3 robots who are like learning about how humanity like died. And they're like kind of going through a history lesson. And don't want to give anything away because it's so worth watching. But cats play a big role in this universe. So I was like, when you said that, I was like, okay, I kind of get vibes of that series right there.
It's really good, and if you like steampunk, it has a steampunk vibe. Like I said, it's written by a woman as well, so that kind of double dips on your previous video. But
yeah, you hit that. All right, next one for me is New Superman. Like Superman. Like, wait a minute, what's New Superman? So this book came out several years ago. It was written by Jean Yang, and it's about the Superman of China. So this is New Superman. Check it out. Like, this book is crazy. It's the Superman of China. So kind of give you a little quick backstory. It's about a guy named Con Ken, and he, for this group, like kind of ministry of, came back on. It's called the Ministry of Self-Reliance. And so his father like works for this group, and he kind of went in and like did some things, and they experimented on him, and they basically gave him the powers of Superman. He now has the powers of Kryptonian. So he's young, he's inexperienced, he's kind of like doing it for celebrity. Like, he loves the media to come in and take pictures of him, but he's learning like, okay, even though I have these powers, there is responsibility that goes along with this. So he's trying to figure out how to balance the two. And they see him in the ministry. It's like, you know what? We're giving you these missions. We don't want us who gave you the power, but you need some help. So they actually empowered some more people. So now we have Batman of China. We have Wonder Woman of China. So they are building their own Justice League. And don't want to give too much away, but you kind of don't know if they're really building this team to take on the original Justice League. So they kind of hint at that a little bit, but they don't really let you know all the way. But it's really interesting to figure out like what's really going on, and then what this new Superman choice he has to make in the end. Like, is he going to say, well, even though they gave me these powers, I really can't do this because it's not right? And it's kind of like some conflict within the new team that kind of alludes to some of that as well.
Now, is this an Elseworld tale like Red Sun, or is this canon?
This tale is actually canon, so it's not an Elseworld. It exists in the modern times when it came out with the Justice League, and they actually did do a crossover where Superman of America kind of met with him. So they did exist, and I think they just let it go. They didn't really, keep it going too long, but I think it was a good concept and it was original, but they just dropped it after a while.
It's pretty dope.
All right, Zach, tell us about our new one, which I love the title, These Savage Shores.
I saved this one for last, everybody. Now, Monstrous is dope. Imaginary Fiends is also good. But this one, to me, just being a standalone one thing, you gotta These Savage Shores. Look at that! I just picked this up because of the coloring.
I love the mask and everything.
The mask got me. It's absolutely amazing. It's by Vault. Okay, you got to pick up Vault, everybody. Vault is a great independent company. Without giving too much away again, okay, I talked to Kearney about this. I talked to Fiction Eat Flow about this. My genre is zombies. This genre is vampires. I'm not a really big vampire genre, but I looked at the cover. I was like, man, I got to pick this up. It basically, what happens is this story takes place in India during the time where the East Indian Trading Company was like taking over, and during like colonization and all that. And it kind of brings in this, what happens if vampires came to India, essentially, because of the British.
Wow.
And, so like when I think of vampires, I think of like Blade, like there's Russian vampires, there's black vampires, there's Asian vampires, and that's what I was thinking. I'm like, oh, this is going to be Indian vampires. I wrong. I was so wrong.
Okay.
It brings in, I don't know how true this is, but I went down like the rabbit hole. Like I went to Wikipedia. I was looking up stuff. It basically brings in like lore. I don't know how true it is, but it brings in lore from in Indian culture. And like, what if vampires came to India, but what if they met another similar force of nature that is also Indian culture? And it has like layers, because like the vampire represents, Britain or European coming into India, but then they have this other monster there already, quote unquote monster. Mm-hmm. And what's going to happen when they battle, and they also bring in like different things about, like I said, colonialization and all the atrocities that happen, but it has vampires in the background, which is great. I highly recommend you pick this up. And just spoiler alert, because I went down the rabbit hole with this, I'm like, dude, is this even true? Like, what, is this monster even exist? And I found another one, another one about in Indian culture too, and I just picked it up. It's from Grant Morrison, and this is what I'm saying. Good graphic novels, when you don't know what's going on, you start looking up stuff and you pick up something similar. But I would definitely get These Savage Swords if you want something different on the vampire take, maybe even dabbling in historical. I shouldn't even say that, but this is really good. You got to pick it up, everybody.
Once again, I love the idea of books that kind of open you up to other things. Like, colonialism, you have mythology, you have cultural reference and lore. So I'm like, I love a different take. Like, we usually always associate vampires with Europeans. So to see it in a different context and how someone else perceives it or another culture perceives it is something that's new that hasn't been done, I think, a lot. And so you can't help but go down and figure this stuff out or go into that deep dive. All right, I have my Indian influence book, which I'm sure a lot of people know because she is getting real popular right now. I did an interview with the writer of the current book of this, which is Miss Marvel. All right, Miss Marvel is the person to be right now. She is the it girl of the time period, right? You got Kamala Khan. She's been around for quite a while now. She is from a race of people called the Inhumans, right? They're like mutants, but they're a little bit different. They are born with this genetic marker, and this Terrigen mist comes over them, and if they have the gene, they transform. So she was like, I love Miss Marvel because she is a fangirl who actually became a superhero, right? So she is like the person who reads comics all into the everything, like geek out and nerd out over this stuff. It's like us getting those powers. I'm like, oh, now I know what to do. I've read all this stuff a whole life. So she's getting a Disney Plus series coming up really soon. I think it's in August, if I'm not mistaken. And it's just going to be amazing. It was a great ride reading that book. It was the first experience. You get to see how she took influence from current day Captain Marvel and kind of used that to kind of help her and then redefine herself and explore more of her culture and her lore and kind of her powers changing with this whole embiggen thing where she can kind of stretch and move. Now, I know there's some controversy right now because her power set is a little different for the Disney Plus series. And I think the only reason they did that is they didn't want to make the powers similar to Mr. Fantastic, who, if you've seen, spoiler warning, Multiverse of Madness makes a cameo, and he is now in the MCU. So I think they want to make the distinction between the stretching of Mr. Fantastic versus Miss Marvel's embiggen powers.
Yeah, and I agree. There's definitely another hit for me, and especially in the you would probably know more about this, especially in the era of, was it all new, brand new Marvel?
Yeah, all different Marvel.
Yeah, and I felt there was a lot of misses, like to me, and there's a very few characters that came out of that unscathed. One of them is Miss Marvel. I mean, that for me that was great. I don't know if Miles was in that because I know he's
we had Miles, Miss Marvel, the new female Thor that's going to be in the movie. So
Thor was there. I forgot about that.
Yep, and it was Sam Wilson, the Falcon. So
you're right.
There's a lot in that all new, all different Marvel. And some of them did stick around, but a lot of them did.
A lot of them did. It was like half, 50-50. So actually pretty good for them, right? Pretty good for them. I agree.
And I want to kind of just piggyback off you with that. There was another character. I don't have any of the books here with me right now, but also of Asian descent who got picked up, was part of that all new, all different Marvel. And that was Amadeus Cho, the totally awesome Hulk. So this was this kid. He is a genius. And what was happening real quick in the book is that the Hulk was starting to expel some of that gamma radiation. He had like absorbed this bomb. And it was so much gamma, he couldn't contain it. He was going to actually explode or die. So Amadeus figured out this way to take the gamma away from him. So he pulled it off and he took it on. And Bruce Banner was like, I'm not the Hulk anymore. I can't change. And he was like, this is cool. Like, all right, y'all, peace. Like, I'm out. This is all I wanted. and then Amadeus became the new totally awesome Hulk. So he kind of kept his intelligence. He didn't really become like that savage Hulk, but he had the potential to do it every now and again. So he was a teenager. So it's a different play on the Hulk by him being a teenager versus being an adult. And I want to say this, and this is for my true fans of MCU work right there. If you had some good detective work, all right. You remember Age of Ultron? So remember the lady who helped develop the new body for Ultron, the vibranium body.
Yep.
That was Amadeus Cho's mother.
What?
Yes. So
put that in there. This.
It just dropped that, and that for me and for all fanboys and girls, we were thinking this could possibly mean that Amadeus is already in the MCU at some point. But if they really connected, they could bring that if they wanted to bring that Hulk forward, and kind of not have to deal with the legal ramifications with the Incredible Hulk, so they could we could kind of push that a little bit.
I mean, you're spinning tails, man, dude. Like that, if they're gonna reform a new team, and this kind of we talked about with Captain Britain and all that, or can't even talk about that. That'd be great.
I got one more in my collection for Asian character, and that is Shang Chi. All right, big movie. It was a huge success, visually stunning and amazing. And this is the most recent issue of Shang Chi. Now, I like it because they're finally utilizing the 10 rings from the MCU. So, real quick, the 10 rings has existed in Marvel for years. I think probably since the 80s or even earlier. But they were worn by this guy called the Mandarin at the time. And they were actually 10 individual rings he wore on his finger, and each one had a different power. And I was like, how are they going to do the 10 rings in this movie? And I love their spin on it when they kind of used the bands as the rings and gave those mystical powers and kind of changed it a little bit. So it's a throwback though when they did this new thing. It was this other movie. Once again, I love making connections. So there was a movie where I first seen someone fighting with these rings as bands. And it is called Kung Fu Hustle.
Yes.
It is an amazing comedy high action movie or anything, but one of the warriors in it is this guy who uses the rings. And I was like, that was the first time I seen someone fight and use those rings like that. And I was like, oh, that's where they stole it from, Marvel. I'm watching you.
The old timers, those old timers, right? They're pushing carts around, right? You don't even know what it is. No, that was good.
Really good. All right. And the last one I have for you, last one. So once again, as it also being AAPI month, it is also Mental Health Awareness Month. And of course, we cannot mention that without mentioning my guy, Moon Knight. Like I said, I'm rocking the shirt right now, Mr. Knight from the Disney Plus series. You gotta check that out. You must check that out. Mark Spector is a person you need to really check out. He just goes deep by him having dissociative identity disorder, also known as multiple personality disorder. And it's like he fights using these different personalities. Right. If you really want to read where they got the ideas of the new Moon Knight with the suit, Mr. Knight, and the whole Birdhead Khonshu and how they did everything, that is a series by Warren Ellis. He is a legend in the comic industry. He has written hundreds of great books. He's won a bunch of awards. He came up with that concept of Mr. Knight and really breaking down those three different distinct personalities and how they work with one another to even align to work with Khonshu to make Moon Knight the character he is.
Let me ask you, Kareem. All right, let me ask you, Fictioning Flow. Okay, speaking of the Marvel Knights, right? Yes. We got Daredevil being teased again to bring back into Disney. I don't know if you heard about that. We got, Moon Knight coming out. When are we gonna see Luke Cage season 3, y'all? When are we gonna see that? Luke Cage season 2 was on fire. Luke Cage season 2 to me was up there with Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Like that.
Yes. Yes.
When are we gonna see that season 3?
I don't know. See, so right now, Charlie Cox for Daredevil is definitely signed on. Yep. We got Moon Knight. Punisher, which came out of the Daredevil series, that's like a working deal, but I don't know about Luke Cage. Once again, I can't remember the actor who played him. Perfect though. I would love for him to come back and reprise that role and just kind of push him all the way into the MCU.
To me, that was like what was that like? Professor X, like that They looked exactly like him. It was perfect. It was spot on. It was like Tony Stark. They casted them perfectly. Same thing with Punisher was cast perfectly. Like when they nail it, you're just like, it's great.
All right, so thank you all for joining us. That has been our deep dive into Asian, Indian, Pacific Islander characters. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell to see next time I drop a video. And don't forget to please drop a comment below. Which book did you like, or which character that you heard about was one you want to find out more? Let me know. Drop a comment below. And I'll catch you next time. Peace. You are truly mixing. What's up? We are talking about fiction in flow. What's up? If you don't have it, you are truly mixing. What's up? If you don't have it, you are truly mixing. What's up? We are talking about fiction in flow. What's up? If you don't have it, you are truly mixing.